Hi, my name is Emily Pirhalla, and on January 14th of 2022, I became an official teenager. And when I was younger, Disney had me convinced that there would be writing musical numbers in the lunchroom, but I've yet to see that happen. But overall, being a teenager has been fun. But just like with all ages, there are some challenges that teenagers, including myself, have been facing. Responsibility. My whole life, I have been given responsibilities. But personally, the biggest responsibility I ever had was to keep my room clean and have integrity. But now that I'm older, all of a sudden, I have to have good grades, and with that, I'm expected to figure out how to study. I need to pick up extra chores around the house, pay for my own things, be mature, which is pretty hard in middle school. I need to learn how to have time management skills, and so much more. And not only are there now new responsibilities, so many new worlds are opened up to us. We can now have social media, we can get our own jobs and have our own money. Our relationships are changing, not just with our friends or significant others, with our parents and teachers too. We are learning who we are, and our sexuality or gender might be changing. And we have to find a way to manage through all of this and still have time for the things that we enjoy. When I was in 5th grade, COVID hit, and I had to start learning virtually. 3 school years later, I'm in the 8th grade and back to learning in the classroom. Yet I'm still learning the exact same way I did when COVID first started. And even though I've been studying and learning on a laptop for 4 years now, many students, including myself, have found it difficult to focus on their schoolwork. With that comes many difficulties, like how test scores have dropped in a drastic rate. According to the CDC, test scores dropped so bad that they'd never seen before. And a recent study has shown that only 26% of 8th graders are proficient or above average in math. This is scary, especially as an 8th grader myself who has EOCs coming up and high school registration. Having to make sure you have good grades, studying for tests, and keeping up with social life leads to late nights and early mornings. Did you know that on average, a teenager is supposed to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep? And not only 28% of teenagers match this quota, that means that 72% of teens don't get enough sleep. But what major effects does this have other than just being a little grumpy? Well, the CDC has said that not getting enough sleep is common among high school and middle school students and is associated with several health risks, including being overweight, drinking alcohol, smoking tobacco, using drugs, as well as poor academic performance. The CDC has also stated that most teens do not get enough sleep due to school's early start times. And when thinking of not getting enough sleep, most people think about their grades or their schoolwork, but the reality is that not getting enough sleep can impact many things, including our relationships. When we are younger, our friendships are more of who our parents know or who we're in class with, and as we get older, we begin to develop more friendships based on our interests or who we find in other communities that share the interests with us. And we may start to lose some friends, but that's for the better because we're learning to lose friends, but we're also learning to let people go as well as learning to let people in. And not only are our relationships with our friends changing, our relationships with our parents are changing as well. As we get mature, we may start to sass or talk back to our parents more, but we also start to realize that our parents are real people who have and had lives before us. And I'm not even going to lie. I get annoyed with my parents all the time. But my parents, all of our parents, are amazing. Our parents were one day handed this extremely fragile human being and were just told, good luck, don't mess up. And they end up doing amazing jobs. I mean, look at you, you're perfect. And our parents are the reason for that. So real quick, I just want to say thank you to all of the parents out there who are helping us through this thing that we call being a teenager. And not only are our parents having to learn how to parent us, they're also having to learn how to parent us in a world that is constantly changing. And that leads me to my next point, social media. Did you know that there are 4.6 billion users on social media worldwide? And that's just from the most recent data. And did you also know that 97% of teens in this country are on social media? That means that only 3% of teens are not on social media. And social media has tons of negatives. Many students end up getting self-body issues, or they have mental illnesses, or just getting bullied on social media. And not only is social media have a bunch of negatives, it's also full of dangers. Social media anything can happen, just like how you could message a random person can message you. You could end up getting messaged by a troll, someone to harass you, or in the worst case scenario, you could get messaged by a perv. Imagine being 14 years old, your first time on Instagram, and a grown man messages you saying weird things to you. That's scary, which is why I do want to say real quick, if you are ever messaged by someone you don't know, please immediately tell a trusted adult. Even if it turns out it is a friend, it is always better to be safe than sorry. But social media does have tons of negatives and its fair share of dangers, but there are also a lot of positives and opportunities to social media. Social media allows teens to have new interests, and it allows us to explore things that we didn't know were okay. As a friend of mine put it, I picked up interests that I didn't know were okay. I realized I don't have to do everything my friends or parents want. I can be myself and I don't have to follow the crowd. I'm discovering myself and I can do the things I want to do. And I don't have to do something just because someone told me I should or need to. I think my friends' feelings are perfectly valid and that everybody experiences this at one point or another. And I think that we all need to experience this if we haven't. Learning that our interests can be separate from our friends or our parents is really important. But it can be super simple, like how when I realized I really wanted to learn to crochet and make things for myself and my friends. Or it could be more complicated, like my friend realizing she was part of the LGBTQ plus community. And every interest and feeling is valid. And even though we shouldn't care what other people think, we are only human. And that means we need validation, especially from our parents. With this validation, our parents need to decide how they will react, and how they can react can really affect our future decisions on what we tell them or how comfortable we feel. As another friend of mine put it, at one point early in middle school, they decided they were really comfortable to tell their parents that they were really attracted to a girl. And their parents pretty much did exactly the opposite of what would have made them feel safe or accepted. And they just didn't feel safe around their parents to share their other feelings. And my friend also later told me that home won't feel safe after being told the person you want to be and the person you feel comfortable being is dumb. My whole speech, I have talked about all the negatives and the challenges that teenagers are facing today, but I do want to make it clear that being a teenager is one of the most fun and important experiences in life, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. To all the parents out there, if you really want to help your teenager, please just listen to them. Even if you think their decision is dumb or stupid or you're like, why are you doing that? It's just listen. Sometimes all we want is to be heard. And all the teenagers out there, just listen to your trusted adults. I promise they have some good advice. Thank you.